To all of you audiophiles out there, it is I, Fran, your co-host from this excellent music podcast called Underrated. Actually, I can't really stay sexy. So, thank you and welcome to Season 8. We're back after a few months off, and this week we are discussing all things noughties indie. When I say all things, I mainly mean the two bands we're discussing today, which is the Arctic Monkeys and the Cooper Temple Claws. I created a playlist for the Cooper Temple Claws. After chatting about each track, we will pose the question, are they over or underrated? But you will have to listen to the podcast to find out. So please, relax, sit back, and check out some noughties bangers.
Welcome to the Underrated podcast with Fran and Babs. Is it over or underrated?
Welcome to Season 8 of the Underrated podcast. Who da thunk? This is Babs, and I am joined on Discord by my co-host Fran. Hello, Fran.
It's a new age. We're on to Discord. Goodbye, Zoom. You've been a lovely ally for the past 3 years. When we say a guy called Craig, we mean a bear robot called Craig.
Sorry, I'll be specific. An AI bear robot.
In case they think we've got
Craig.
literally a guy next to us called Craig.
True. I'm presuming that everyone knows what Discord is that listens to our podcast, but I guarantee that's not the case because my dad listens. Shout out Paolo, and I sincerely doubt he's even heard of it. Prove me wrong, Dad. Prove me wrong.
Thanks for staying with us, guys. Welcome to Season 8 for New Dawn. And we shall start how we have for the past 7 seasons. So, Babs, so what have you been listening to recently?
So, I have been obsessively, and I have the stats of this, obsessively been listening to the new Charlie XCX song, Von Dutch. Have you heard it yet, Fran?
I feel like I have heard it. Yes, I have heard it. I can't remember it.
By osmosis, or
I remember it coming out, and I remember listening to it at least once. On every Friday, I try and listen to the new songs. I may have forgotten, but I have definitely listened to it. And I saw her present a Brit Award last week, so I'm got my finger on the pulse.
So, she released a new song called Von Dutch. I have listened to it, I think since it came out, because it came out on the 29th of February. I don't think I listened to it immediately then, so I would listen to it the next day, 1st of March. Guess how many times I've listened to it since the 1st of March? We are 12th of March.
17 times.
Higher.
125 times.
No, 73
73 times.
73 times. It has moved to my second most listened to song on Tidal. I have a problem. Like I sent it to you when it came out, and I said, it turns out not very originally, oh, this sounds like Yeah Yeah by Body Rocks featuring Luciana, which everyone did, and lots of articles said, oh, it features a sample of it, which it didn't. Although Luciana, who I follow on Instagram, was like, oh yes, thank you for the homage, Charlie. Clearly Electro Clash is back in the charts. But yeah, I'm just truly obsessed with it. It's very addictive. It is cocaine in music form.
But are you scared that by the end of the year you may hate it if you've heard it that many times?
No, because I'm usually pretty good at kind of, I reach my limit and then I'm done. But in less obsessive music mode and in film mode, have you seen the film The Worst Person in the World, Fran?
No, I'm aware of it, but I've not seen it.
I saw it last week for the first time. I very much enjoyed it. And there is a scene that involves a Turbo Negro song, Back to Dungaree High. And yeah, Turbo Negro, one of those bands that I feel have always been in the ether, but I've never bothered getting into, and I've been getting into them, and they're pretty good. Do you know them? Do you like them?
Talking what, noughties Norwegian rock?
Even late 90s. That song is from 98.
Even late 90s.
Yeah, I'd really recommend listening to that song. And I mean, I haven't gone much beyond the album that song comes from, but it's, it's a band that I am enjoying on first listen, which is always a very rare thing when you get into a band and immediately you're getting into albums. So yeah, those are my recommendations for the week. How about you?
I haven't listened to loads. I've skimmed the surface. I've listened to, maybe the Liam Gallagher and John Scars album once through. And heard the singles a couple of times. It's exactly what you think it would be.
Yeah, indeed.
Disappointing dad rock.
Oh, dear.
I've listened to the new James single, which is fine, but a bit too la-di-da for me. I saw the 86 TVs last week.
I saw on your social media. Who are they? What are they? What do they do?
That is the Maccabee boys, Felix and Hugo White, with a younger brother,
Oh.
also in the band, so three Whites, and then the drummer from the Stereophonics and the Noisettes on the drums.
Okay, interesting. How were they?
They were actually brilliant, but sadly, because they're a brand new band, they only played like 10 songs. It lasted like half an hour. So, but yeah, I can't really recommend Tough because they've only got one EP out. So you listen to that one EP. Walnut Buildings is a top song. But yeah, they said that they know they're not going to make any money, but they just wanted to get back and talk. They love playing music, so thank you, 86 TVs.
Man, the state of the music industry, especially in the UK at the moment, is so depressing. I just saw an email from the Subways asking for crowdfunding. And I was like, a band as established and famous as the Subways having to ask for money to raise equipment. I mean, it's not a snobbery thing. I think some bands even prefer it. We've had our chats with Chris Ollie. But, they shouldn't have to. That's it. Like the ecosystem should provide. So yeah, go donate to the Subway's crowdfunder, guys. If I remember, I'll put the link in the show notes.
It is strange how, like bands who... I saw the Subways last year playing to, the Kenters Forums, maybe 1,000 people. So that's a decent amount of people. So it's so sad that they have an audience out there, but still struggle to, be able to even record an album. Yeah, same with Sea Power as well. I think the last 2 albums have been crowdfunded. It's like, oh, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
But as you say, that is the state of rock and roll, guys.
And speaking of rock and roll, what a segue, Fran.
We're discussing the king of rock and roll at one point, the Arctic Monkeys from Sheffield, and the Paupers of rock and roll, the Cooper Temple Claws from... I say they're from Reading, but according to the internet, they're from, is it Wokingham? Or somewhere?
I've seen both. It depends what source you go to.
We've been chatting about the Arctic Monkeys for the past few years, as I think a band we would put up to say that they're overrated. So we thought, let's finally get on board and let's do another noughties indie, since we always have a lot of thank yous from our audience when we do a indie special, do we, from the noughties? Is that correct?
As the social media person and the person who, when we have a season out, obsessively looks at the statistics, definitely are, if we have a well-known guest or if we do 70s rock or UK indie, those are normally our most popular episodes. Guys, go and fucking listen to our Billie Eilish and Charlie XCX episode. I'm not going to ask again, okay?
Oscar winner, Billie Eilish.
Second time Oscar winner at 22, Billie Eilish. Jesus Christ. Yes, so as Fran said, this is UK Noughties Indie Revival Part 2, as we already did Kasabian and the previously mentioned Sea Power before.
Overrated.
This is a band ripe for the slaughter, that's a bit harsh. Ripe for the analysis, let's say. I made the playlist this time. What I did was I knew half of the songs that I put on the playlist, and the other half I randomly picked off albums that I haven't listened to. Because my relationship with the Arctic Monkeys is as follows. So whatever people say I am, that's what I'm not. It was released, I discovered, 23rd of January 2006, which is the beginning of the second term of my first year of university. So that album defined so much of my uni experience, the beginnings of indie sleaze, as is also mentioned on a more global scale. I think it's a near perfect album. I like a couple of songs from the second album, and then I basically tapped out around Humbug. In part just because, the more they went on, the more songs I listened to, the less I liked them. I saw them live, I think at Vector 2007, and I found them quite disappointing. They just played the songs exactly like on the record and there was no banter, which, this was very early in their career. I think if I had another opportunity to see them live, but at a festival or something, I wouldn't pay to go and see them, I think. I would take it. But yeah, I've just tapped out. So the reason why I made the playlist like I did was because actually I just wanted to kind of pick songs at random from their more recent albums and see, is it a band that's worth giving the album a spin at least once to see if they've got decent music? Because in the past I would have said yes, but currently I would have said no. What about you, Fran?
So I remember working in a music store in 2004 and loads of people would come up to me going, you got that band, the Arctic Monkeys, mate? And then typing into Elvis, which was the name of our search engine, thinking, no. And then I found out later on that it was because
MySpace.
they became massive on MySpace and were giving out demos to everyone, that everyone was waiting for the album to come out for ages before it did. So I remember the hype. And I remember it coming out and like, you know, even like the accountant down the road was coming in at 6:15 to buy his album. It was insane. I think that's probably the biggest album release of my life.
Really?
Working in noughties.
Wow.
And I think it was like the fastest selling album since Alaska, I think was the one beforehand. I then went to the NME tour that year, 2006.
So jealous.
And it was the Mystery Jets, We Are Scientists, Arctic Monkeys, and Maximo Park. And I will say that by far they were the worst band on it. But as Maximo Park said on a recent podcast, it's because they were, you know, like teenagers. And
Well, they were 19 or something, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, and they were like what you said, they all walked in, one had a hoodie, and they just looked at the ground and played the songs, and then that was it.
Yeah.
You know, there was nothing, there was no chat or anything. It's like, let's play the songs as fast as possible and get the fuck out of there, and everyone went mad. So I've not seen them since those days. Obviously, they played Glastonbury last year, and people, you know, had to pick up on Alex's change of voice over the past 20 years with his New York crooning tone. He's gained over the past 10 years. But the first album had a few songs that I liked. I really liked Brainstorm when it came out. I remember DJing that a lot, and then like self, I think around Humbug, it was like, okay, they're still going. And then I don't think I even remember one song from Suck It and See. And then obviously AM came back, and that was big, so I remember like the 3 singles from AM, and I scanned the last 2 albums and thought, yeah, okay, I can give it a miss. So I mean, with this playlist, it's probably the first time I've checked out the last 3 albums. But I think like I listened to the car maybe once or twice just to check it out, and thought, yeah, I'm probably not going to be loving this.
What do you feel? I mean, I feel the change in accent, fair enough. Like, doesn't he live in America now? That happens, right? But from the laddie, let's say the laddie voice to the crooner voice, it is weird. I feel like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and I will be saying when it does and when it does, and when like I kind of have to overlook it in favor of the music. I think he's obviously, and with Miles Kane as well, coming in every now and again, and you know, inspired by the Scott Walkers and other people like that. And I don't know, I feel like, is it Alex just really wanting to push that and everyone else being like, all right, mate. I don't know how it even works with songwriting, you know, is it just pure Alex or not? I've researched producers of albums and that's it.
Well, checking out the credits, I think the Arctic Monkeys are down for the music, and Alex is always down as a lyricist.
Okay.
Because I know that like Are You Mine, I think was written, that riff was written by the bassist. So I think the music is shared.
Okay.
And he brings the lyrics most of the
So
time.
he's not the only one into the 50s music yet.
Well, I don't know if he's got more power than the other guys. So I don't know how it works. But yeah, I mean, do you know Richard Hawley at all?
I do a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I think he wants to be Richard Hawley a few times in that 50s throwback crooning kind of way. I would probably I think I probably dismissed that album too easily, because when I listened to the car today and yesterday, it wasn't actually that bad. You just got to reset your head, don't you? You can't. Yeah, you've got definitely to look at it as this is not an indie rock album. This is a completely new thing. So I'd love to know, you know, what the fans of their noughties think of the new stuff. But according to social media, they fucking hate it, with especially the amount of hatred they got at Glastonbury.
Did they? I actually didn't know that. Tell me more.
This Glastonbury, people were slating all 3 headliners. Obviously, Elton John can't really sing anymore. Obviously, Axl Rose can't really sing anymore. And then obviously Alex Turner was doing his like throwback Neil Diamond crooning thing, and like everyone was like, "What? What the hell is it? What the hell is this?" And yeah, people were not happy at all with their set at Glastonbury. I've seen people still think they're the band from 2007, and it was a shock to the system. But I mean,
but if you look at some of the streaming numbers for their later music, and actually, well, the first pick, should we go into it?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
So my first pick is 505, and I've picked a live version precisely because I'd had that kind of not amazing live experience, and I had a feeling that you had one as well, that we've discussed it before. So thank you for confirming that. So I was like, okay, let's put on a live song. And yeah, it's insane because this song has 1.52 billion streams on Spotify. That is a lot. 505 is from Favourite Worst Nightmare, but it became popular thanks to TikTok, of course. Oh God, I feel so powerful.
Hey, really? 505?
Yeah.
What was that linked to? That's strange.
Yeah, I don't know what, especially because it's a slower song. So here,
Album track as well.
It's an album track, but these things like I will still never forget when Ramalama Ding Dong, whatever it's called, by Rasheen Murphy became big for a moment. This was the biggest indie song in the UK in 2022.
Because I knew that they picked up in America like after AM, so I thought maybe the bigger songs were from AM, because America wasn't just gonna quadruple the UK audience.
Of course.
But yeah, I'm shocked about 505.
Yeah. So I picked it, I think, because I not because I knew all those facts, but because I was trying to go for a bit more from the earlier stuff. But yeah, there we go. So those are the facts. As for the song, I think, well, live especially, his voice here sounds terrible. I much prefer the second half of the song, even though he's singing a bit out of tune. And I quite like the guitar that I think might be being played by Miles Kane.
I think this is because obviously I was working where I was back in the day. I think I heard this album a billion times, so I knew the song. And you're right, yeah. As soon as the second part hits in, you get the big climax, and you get that sort of I almost said it's like a Johnny Marr sort of guitar sound.
Yes.
Comes in at the end with extra distortion. But yeah, but I guess this kind of showcased that they were a bit more than just bang out the indie song as fast as possible. It has a bit more to it, a bit more progressive. I guess this is a hinting to what happened in Humbug. But yeah, some people have this as their favourite all-time Arctic Monkeys song.
Yeah, I think it's a crowd favourite.
Surprising me. But I watched on the old YouTube Reading 2022, and there's so many teenagers crying, and now I know why. Because I thought, I know we're a big band, but if you're 17, would you be crying at Arctic Monkeys? And now you've explained to TikTok trucks again.
You thought, are they crying because he has a bad haircut or isn't wearing enough foundation? No.
I think his look now with the Neil Diamond is better than his goatee look the album before.
Oh my God, I missed the goatee look completely, and I'm glad.
Yeah, Tranquility Casino Hotel.
Yeah, we'll come to that.
The goatee for goatee years.
See, the goatee is. All I remember of that era is that album cover. I didn't even know any of the songs. That's one of the albums I don't know any of the songs, but there we go. Okay, so yeah, we both think this one's fine, right? It's fine. So for my second pick, we've already mentioned it briefly, Brian Storm from Favourite Worst Nightmare. Mm-hmm. Now I picked this because I thought this was the standout song. The 2 or 3 times I listened to the full album, I haven't listened to it as much as you have. I quite like this song, but due to its popularity in the indie discos and all of that, I never put it on. Putting it on to listen to this was maybe the first time in about 5 or 6 years that I've done it. I quite like the I don't even know. It's not jangly guitars. What would you call it? And I like the sneery, articulate lyrics, the t-shirt and ties combination. See you later, innovator. That sticks in your mind. And I think this could have been a nice addition to the debut. This would fit in still, I think, with the debut. But you can already, I don't really know how to describe it, but you can already feel the depth and quality slipping away just a little bit already here, despite me thinking this is a pretty good song.
I guess it's harder, faster, but it's quite rare because I've noticed, and even Alex said that most of the songs are about women.
Yeah.
And it's quite rare to have a song which is not about a woman. It's a song about a Brian.
A Brian, or is it about typos? Because, obviously Brian Brainstorm, who knows?
But I was trying to think, I don't think I actually know a nice Brian, so...
I know a nice Brian. Brian.
Okay.
And he's in his 70s now, probably. Hi, Brian. I won't give out your surname, just in case.
Shout out to the nice Brian. But yeah, I guess it's quite interesting. There's no chorus, is there, to the song?
No.
It's just the first verse and dun 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 dun. Hey.
Unless, it's a very short chorus with the...
And that's just saying, see you later, innovate is the chorus. Yeah. This was fine for me. I think at a time I wanted to hate the Arctic Monkeys because that's oh, fuck's sake. Yeah. And I remember that's a great song when I first heard it. I thought, okay, I will still play it begrudgingly. But yeah, I've not heard it for a long time. So when I found it on the playlist, I was happy to welcome it back. But yeah, I think it's a decent track. But again, I wouldn't have bought the album.
But the next pick, we're still going chronologically, but I've gone for Crying Lightning. So that's from the Josh Homme / James Ford produced album. And for me, this was the beginning of the end of my love for them. I thought this was the first album of Redux, all the basics, all the subtlety removed. And again, it was very overplayed. And annoying is maybe a bit harsh, but maybe it's more that it leaves me a little bit cold. Crying Lightning. Does it warm you up with your fire or not?
I remember the video, and
Yes,
I don't remember the song.
I remember the video as well.
And I was surprised the video is by Richard Ayoade, because it doesn't seem like his kind of thing, does it?
Well,
It's more like a straightforward music video.
I remember the conversation was like, "Oh, Josh Homme has just done a Queens of the Stone Age album, rather than it being an Arctic Monkeys album." Despite it, I think was still fairly critically acclaimed, but yeah.
Well, I guess it's the first time they maybe like have moved over to America to record an album. So that they had left the old the indie landfill of the UK and tried new things. I think by then, at one point 3 of them lived in LA.
I would imagine all of them live there now, no? Or do you know more than me?
Well, the internet still says one doesn't name and shame the one who doesn't live in America.
I love it. We're going to tell you that 3 live there, but not.
You may not know.
But you're right. I just looked it up, and Favourite Worst Nightmare was recorded in London and Liverpool, whereas Humbug was recorded in Joshua Tree in New York City and Burbank, Burbank.
And Backrack.
But Backrack and Engelbert Humperdinck.
But yeah, I can't recall a single other song on Humbug until you put in a song in a playlist. It's got a nice twisted guitar sound. It's dirgy. I think Josh Homme said to them that they got to play slower, and to prove that they can play guitar, because it's easy to bang out a track. But if you play slow, it takes some skill. So they slowed it down on purpose for that.
Yeah, but just because it's skill doesn't mean it's a good song, mate.
I guess it's about someone with a sweet tooth who he fancies, but never got with or something. Apparently, Crying Lightning is running mascara, is what they call.
Oh, why lightning?
It's a lightning. Yeah, because obviously when it runs, it makes like a lightning sort of black look on your cheek.
Oh, okay. So it like the cat eye makeup, but gone a bit wrong.
I've listened to it 3 or 4 times. I think it's probably better now than I remember it back in 2009. But I scrolled through some other songs from Humbug, and it was not amazing for me.
Well, there's another one coming up. So let's see if it's if you're stepping off the horse or going on the saddle. God, that's terrible. I am out of practice. I need some new puns.
Moving on.
We have arrived, Fran, at the Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino from 2008.
Yes.
So this is the first song that I really didn't know very well from my playlist, and I picked it because it's the most streamed song from this album. When it started, I would not have guessed it was Arctic Monkeys until his voice comes in, of course, because the crooner is back. Absolument.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed the music. I think the music is fantastic. I feel like it's referencing David Bowie, Queen, other 70s music that I'm too ignorant to know about. So I feel like it's not maybe the most original song in the world, but I wouldn't know better. I like the sort of blissful repetition at the end. And we haven't mentioned them yet really, but one thing that I will absolutely rate the Arctic Monkeys for is lyrics. And the lyrics of this is a concept album. And this is basically an advert for the Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. And the taqueria was given 4 out of 5. Which, it's not only that the lyrics are good, it's that he has a way with putting, I'm going to say, like syllables together. Things roll off the tongue very nicely with Alex. And this is definitely one of them. So, yeah, I think for me, this is on a par with Brainstorm. What do you think?
Well, yeah, so when I started, I thought, oh, here we go. And then, it surprised me how much I actually liked it.
Yeah, right?
Did you notice that the guy playing is it the Wurlitzer is James Wrighton from the Claxons?
Ah, I did not know that. Okay. The mid-noughties indie helping out.
Yes.
The mid-noughties indie,
give him a hand.
Yeah.
But I guess this was after a 5-year gap from AM. Mm-hmm. He did a last of the Shadow Puppets album, 2016. Yeah. So maybe he ran out of rock and roll finally, and yet he changed his tune and moved on to something different. I said this is the new sound, the new bearded Alex. It's softer, more comfortable. I put mid-70s Bowie. It's surprisingly good, and everyone says this is the best chorus on the album. And checking out other tracks, it's hard to not agree with that. Okay. I heard it live. It works live. I guess they've started to work with other musicians. I think there's 6 people on stage with them.
Oh, okay.
Rather than the solid 4 from previous times. So yeah, they're trying new things, and I quite liked it. But I don't think I liked any other song in the album, as I played it maybe twice today.
Okay, so yeah, you've gone beyond the playlist, right? So you've gone to listen to albums in full.
Well, I wanted to check in case it has some like indie bangers or something. Well, do you know what I mean? But it turns out no.
I feel you. Yes, and I've actually written one of the people that they debuted this song live with was Cameron Avery from Tame Impala. So there we go.
Moving to the biggest album, I assume it is now.
Yes, it is their biggest album. Well, definitely in the US, that's for sure. Yes, we are going to AM. And I've chosen I Wanna Be Yours because the songs Are You Mine and Call Me When You're High actively annoy me. Even though I didn't go and listen to Are You Mine because I just like it's so overplayed and so annoying. I did go and listen to Why Don't You Ever Call Me When You're High, and I was like, okay, this doesn't annoy me as much anymore. So, maybe one does need a bit of a cooling off time. I don't know if I knew this song, despite it being the second most streamed on the album, which is also why I went for it. I also didn't know that this was a John Cooper Clarke poem reworked, and that he, I think, rates it because he says that, his version, obviously, it's just spoken word and it's kind of semi-comedic, whereas the Arctic Monkeys have kind of turned it into a love song. And I've also read that this is quite similar to Spanish Sahara by Foles, which is a song that I don't know. Really? Okay. Would you agree?
I love Spanish Sahara. I wouldn't have chosen that. I think it sounds like an R&B song. This could be like smooth R&B, but with like a really English lyric.
Well, yeah, R&B, but modern R&B or kind of retro R&B? Because it could be 70s.
I think he even said it even making it. I said apparently he wanted it to sound a bit like Timbaland.
Ah, our old favourite.
He asked time to do backing vocals for the album, but they're too busy.
There we go.
Yeah, he wanted to have a bit more of an R&B sound, which is surprising. But I also didn't know that apparently the reason they became big in America is because they supported the Black Keys in 2013.
Mad.
Which is kind of a big move for a band who are that big to want to be okay to do that.
I guess
and then
big in Europe, right? Maybe not in the US yet.
Yeah, and he said, and that's why they became a better live band because they had to win over audiences for the first time in their life. Because previously everyone knew the songs. And that's why they then changed the sound. So AM, I guess, is a bit more American, a bit more harder.
Oh, they've done it again. When a British band goes American, yeah, fine, And also, but again, because I would say Humbug is also going to, literally, when you go to the Wikipedia page of Humbug, it says Desert Rock, and it's like, oh, who else does Desert Rock? That's right, Josh.
Yeah. So, do I want to know what's a big hit as well? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All annoying. So yeah, this one I actually quite like. I liked it on the first listen. I got into it even more on subsequent listens, and I've actually saved it. His tone doesn't annoy me here, but the accolades for this album are insane. So it topped 4 Billboard charts and was certified platinum in the US. And NME hailed it the best album of the decade. Mad. And just a month after
it's only 2013, so it's early days, guys.
Yeah, but firstly, but anyway, we'll do our 2010s albums another time. After it had been out for only a month, they put it on 449 on the list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. And Rolling Stone, in the 2020 edition of its 500 greatest albums of all time, put it 346. Are you, Fran is frozen. I can see his hand in his head. So yeah, I think that's absolutely insane for an album with actively annoying songs for me. I think Arctic Monkeys must have released some psychogenics with a CD, and everyone who touched it got high, and then it resonated with the song Why'd You Only Call Me When You're High, and that's why this is so popular. That's my conspiracy theory. What do you think, Fran?
I think that they wanted to get big in America, and they played it well. But what is nice is that John Cooper Clarke was like a penniless addict, and I believe that around that time a lot of people were name checking him and covering him, and he's now doing quite well for himself.
Oh,
so wow. They have helped out a struggling punk poet. So that's one good thing out of AM. But no, for me, I listened to AM today and I thought it sounded better than Suck It and See and Humbug.
I mean, Suck It and See, there is a song from there on this list. I did not know a single song from it.
This album doesn't annoy me as much as you. I mean, looking at it, I think it's probably maybe their third best album, maybe. But yeah, it's more like riff heavy. I don't know songs like I don't know Number One Party, Mad Sounds, Knee Socks. I know Josh Homme plays on Knee Socks, but I can't remember anything about it, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I never bothered listening to AM, and I think maybe if AM hadn't been so big, I might have gone back to Arctic Monkeys. But when I heard the songs that were being popular, I was like, yeah, they're still not for me, unfortunately.
Over underrated.
I did want to pick a song from their debut album, which I quite like. And I picked, for me,
Yep.
the underrated song from there, which is perhaps Vampires is a bit strong, but I think Mardi Bum is the most overrated song from that album, personally. I don't know if you'd agree.
No, well, that and what's the one that's really slow? He's a dirty twat or something. I don't know. That one. Dun, 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 dun. That one.
Sorry, I'm still loving it. He's a dirty twat.
It's something like that.
Not when the lights go down. When the sun goes down, sorry.
I mean, his vocal in this album was "When I'm cleaning windows," and that kind of ruined it for me. It was that sort of style.
See, I prefer this to the crooning any day of the week.
He used to say that he was influenced by rappers. You know, the first two albums, how he spits that look so fast. He said he was influenced by Lil Wayne and Drake.
That's
why he would
very interesting.
He sings so fast. It does work. If you hear it now, you can hear it.
I didn't click on it because I ran out of time, but I did see that they've covered a Drake song on something like the Radio 1 Live Lunch. But I was like, but I need to go and listen. It was a Drake song I didn't know, so I was like, right, no, I don't have time for this. If I don't have time to listen to Spanish Sahara by Foles, I don't have time to listen to Drake, who's also seems to be going through he's a bit of an asshole phase as well. But going back to Arctic Monkeys, Vampires is a bit strong. I think this is quite a clever song. I quite like how they vary the loud and quiet, how there's this long instrumental breakdown, and then it just comes back to, oh, you people are vampires. And just when you think the kind of variety of sounds has ended, there's these kind of reggae ska guitars at the end, which sound great. Mm-hmm. And the line, your snarl is just so condescending. Love it. Wish there was more of this. Yes, please.
Do you know what it's about?
No, I don't. Please enlighten me.
It's about all of the people in Sheffield who hated him. It was a big fuck you to all of the naysayers.
Given that, what's the line? You're not from New York City, you're from Rotherham. From one of their other songs.
Always hate your rival towns. This is what I find interesting. Lovely to see the first impression of someone in California first listening to this song and hearing the phrase Rotherham, because I do like it when they sort of say Mardy and Dandelion and Burdock later on. It's quite nice.
I mean, even
and people around the world.
Even the 4 out of 5, it mentions the old grey whistle test, which I'm like, that is quite a niche reference these days, especially. I know what it is because I'm a bit of a nerd, but yeah.
Even for them, they weren't even born. They were born, in 1986 something, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I completely forgot the song existed. It's got a strong bass hook from their original bass player. He obviously left early on. But the second half picks up. I put angry boys spanking at instruments, showing off their fierce side. Not great, but
I like it when you go patronising. That's not your tone, but you're like, the angry boys wanting to shout. Bless them.
Well, they're 17 when they wrote that song, weren't they? So being angry at people who don't like you, but saying "fuck you" is a very teenage sort of thing to do. And why not? And they won because they became massive, so I guess they can say "fuck you" to the Rotherham kids.
Yeah, but again, this is why we're not even talking about that song, and I can't remember off the top of my head which song it is. It might be From the Ritz to the Rubble, but the way he goes, not from New York City, you're from Rotherham. It sounds so good. It sounds so nice in your ears. And the way that it's shortened, I think they're really good at that. And yeah, I thought you might not like this song, but I really like the loud quiet. This is, their Pixie song, and I'm here for it.
Do you know what? Is there 13 songs on that album? Because I can only remember maybe 5 or 6.
There are 13 songs on there. And yeah.
It's one of those albums that I assume I know, but back of my hand, but maybe I completely forgot about this one.
I'm looking at the track listing now, and it's in all honesty, I'm looking at song, you probably couldn't see for the lights, but you were staring there. You were staring straight at me. And it's I actually, off the top of my head, that's the one where I can't kind of bring it to mind. But it's one of those albums that, the moment I put it on, I know what's coming next. I listened to it to death in the mid-noughties. And yeah, just to say, this album, which won the Mercury Prize, was produced by Jim Abbas, who produced a bunch of stuff that we like. He produced The Back Room by Editors. He produced Kasabian's first 2 albums, Ladytron albums, Sneaker Pimps Becoming X, yay, and Adele's 19 and 21.
And the Backroom was also nominated for that same award.
I mean, yeah, and would it have been in the same year? Because that Backroom was.
Because I watched the video and it had editors clapping as they walked to the stage, so it must have been the Backroom.
There we go. But an album that, I didn't know, you didn't know, none of us knew, and I've picked the title track from it is "Suck It and See."
And banned in America, that title.
Oh, get over yourselves, people.
Because they thought it meant blowjobs and not the British saying.
I mean, given the outrage when MIA put her middle finger up at the Super Bowl, that doesn't surprise me. They're children. Get over yourselves. Hello, American listeners. we know you're not those kinds of people. Yeah, I think this is the worst song on this playlist. It's heading towards the melodic, the crooner voice is back, and the lyrics are terrible here, actually. Jigsaw women with horror movie shoes, be cruel to me because I'm a fool for you. I poured my aching heart into a pop song, I couldn't get the hang of poetry. That's not a skirt, girl, that's a sawn-off shotgun, and I can only hope you've got it aimed at me.
The line about you're rarer than a can of dandelion and burdock and those other girls are just post-mixed lemonade. I do like that line. Maybe because it's hard to find dandelion and burdock. It's nice to hear.
You like a little bit
2011.
You like a bit of dandelion and burdock. When you used to go around your grandparents.
It's such an English phrase for him to use.
Listen, they are good at that.
I thought it's reasonable. I thought it sounds a bit like Velars and Echo and the Bunnymen, a bit Liverpool sounding. I did put that. It sounds like the Blossoms a lot.
Yeah,
to me,
precisely.
I think the Blossoms have and then in the video, seen the video for it?
I have not. No.
It's Matt stars in it with his then girlfriend, is it Brianna McDowell, who I think he then married and then got divorced.
Okay.
It's him in America hanging out by a pool.
Oh,
she's in the bikini and he's driving a motorbike. It doesn't match the song at all, but there we go.
Beautiful.
And I thought it's just weird. No, Alex wasn't even in the video. But yeah, I thought it was fine. I skimmed through the album again, looking for a song I might have remembered. And Pile Driver Waltz I knew, but that's because it's in the film Submarine.
Yes, Submarine, which she did the music for, right?
Yeah, Alex. But apart from that, I don't remember anything else on Second One C. But it was pretty average, unfortunately. So moving on to the most recent song, is it?
Yes, we are. There'd Better Be a Mirable from The Car. Again, picked this because it was the most streamed song from the album. The music, we are really kind of in the 50s here. I feel 50s and 60s. I don't like his voice, but here I can just about get over it because I think the music is lush. It's lush, but also a bit angular. The flute motif and the strings are gorgeous. The bit where the strings are in there and his voice goes falsetto, I got goosebumps the first time I heard it. And the fact that it finishes quite abruptly after it kind of welcomes you into this world, it left me wanting more. And yeah, this was a song where I was like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm listening to the guys who said you're not from New York City, you're from Rotherham. Who would have thought this was the same band? This sounds so different. So yeah, this was a nice discovery. And I know The Car had a bit of a mixed. That was a bit more mixed, among the fans and the critics, from what I understand. But that left me wanting to go and listen to it a bit more. How about you?
It's weird because everyone seems to be confused by it, but it's all got a Mercury music nomination.
Ah, yeah, it did, didn't it? Yeah.
It's quite funny watching that Brit Award.
Oh my god, yeah. So let's talk about it.
Because Rock and Roll was dead. Yep, go for it.
So just because, in case people don't know it, actually, I should have researched when it was. But Alex Turner and the Arctic Monkeys did a speech at the Brit Awards, which I will definitely link to in the show notes, which is one of the most cringe things I have seen in my life. I felt like my asshole disappeared into my body watching it. I remember, I don't know, hearing the discourse about it at the time, but I don't think I ever kind of sat down and watched the full speech. It was awful.
Followed by a mic drop, which is never good. But people say that he was drunk, but even if you're drunk, I mean, that seemed pre-rehearsed. That wasn't that spontaneous. It feels like he was thinking about that way before he came on stage. Yeah. I just feel sorry for the rest of the band having to watch that and not being able to stop him.
Yeah. Well, they could have rugby tackled him to the floor. That would have been something. But yeah, he's basically talking about rock and roll is back, you think it goes away. And it's like, oh, okay, thank you, Messiah Turner. But anyway, sorry, I interrupted what you were saying about the rock and roll, and then you listened to this song.
So yeah, and this is Lounge Room, Arctic Monkeys. Yeah, and I like the spiraling synth rock, and I think it reminds me of Richio Sakamoto.
Yes,
Like of Forbidden
R.I.P.
Colors fame. Yes, and I even thought, is this sampled or something? Because it seems so familiar, but I couldn't see it, so it must be original. But yeah, I surprisingly like the song, and I was surprised myself because I remember like flicking through the car just to to see what it was like, and I thought, yeah, okay, I won't bother. But yeah, turns out it did have at least one decent tune in it. So yeah, I agree with you. This is worth checking out.
Yeah, no, I think I saved this one as well. Yeah, no, I definitely, I think it's like you said before, maybe because we have our pre-existing thoughts. When we go in to listen to an Arctic Monkeys album, probably we go in a bit defensively, already being like, "Oh right, kind of let's see what all the fuss is about." But I think it helped me anyway to be like, right, let's actually divorce it a little bit and not listen to an album, just listen to random tracks and see how it goes. And I think that worked for me anyway.
Yeah, and I think I probably gave them a hard time, but I think the problem is like I don't actually hate the Arctic Monkeys. I think it does their success didn't match to the output. And I was just confused why other bands were like not hitting the same heights. It's like I think that's what it was. It wasn't like, oh, this band are making terrible music. It was like this band are making some good songs, but they're not like the new Messiah. I mean, that was what annoyed me, I guess, as a fan of indie music. It's like, why this band of all the bands?
I mean, this is for me, it's a classic overrated pick for us because it's not that we hate them, but we're questioning why and have we got it wrong because we're coming at it defensively / is it just that some stuff was overplayed? And I think absolutely it was.
But I am surprised about how popular they still are because obviously these latter albums are not commercial at all, so I find it interesting they're still headlining big festivals.
Well, again, 505 got big in 2022, right? So there we go. I wonder if Arctic Monkeys as well, go with me on this because this is the thought I've just had. I feel like Arctic Monkeys are one of those bands that people who don't like rock, they're like, okay, I don't like rock, but Arctic Monkeys are all right, like that's the one rock band you'd go and see. I do get that vibe, and
that's why I would love to know if the people who go to these festivals are completely unaware of their music for the past 10 years, and it's a shock to the system.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we move on to another slow song.
Yes, Cornerstone from Hamburg. I wanted to put another song from Hamburg because, again, as I said, this is where I fell out of love. So let's put it back on. Mm-hmm. I still don't know whether I like this song or not. I knew that I would need several listens because, it's a bit slower. It's country infused, which is not usually my thing, but there's more to it than meets the eye. I've now listened to it 3 times. I still don't know what I think. Like, I think if I had to pick, do I like it? I would say no, but I can't quite dismiss it yet. What do you think?
It's interesting to hear the word elongated used so much in the song. I can't think of another song used elongated, but I think similar to you, it was pleasant, but did I like it? Is it about him trying to find a new girlfriend but still in love with his ex-girlfriend? Is that what we're trying to get at? Is it? I've
not looked up the lyrics.
He's asking to call the scary fancies by someone else's name. I assume it's his ex-girlfriend, and he keeps seeing girls in different random pubs around England. But I try and work out what it all meant. I don't know why Cornerstone. The music video is Richard Diode. This is very much the Richard Diode music video for me.
Right.
With the retro vibes of him singing to a tape recorder from the 1980s, and you can see why he chose to do the soundtrack to Submarine because it has got a very similar vibe to that film.
Can I shock you, to use your phrase, Fran?
You've not seen Submarine?
I think it's overrated. Massively overrated, Submarine.
Oh. I didn't know if that was Richard Diode. Yeah, okay. Well, high five, Richard. And to the final track for non-Spotify.
Non-Spotify, wanted to end on a high. Lovely bit of fun. I've picked their cover of Girls Aloud's Love Machine from the Radio 1 Live Lounge. I think it's a really fun cover. They're clearly having a great time. At one point, they break into laughter and have to kind of recover. And when you watch it on YouTube, because it's being recorded for Radio 1, you hear Joe Wiley saying like, oh, I think you went into a bit of karaoke there. Like, it's just, it's lovely. I mean, it doesn't, it's already got a guitar line, the song. It's a bit more guitar-y, but I also want to say I love it when men cover heterosexual women's music and don't change the pronouns. He talks about his man and stuff like that. Yes, more of that, please. I also picked this to go off on a bit of a tangent, but I will go off on that tangent after you give your opinion about the song.
So we explain what Live Lounge is.
Yes, good point. Go for it.
So the Live Lounge was Radio 1's show when they would get an artist to come on and play their new single, and then they had to play a cover. Usually it was a song also in the charts, which is probably why Arctic Monkeys chose Love Machine, because it would have been at the same time. But I always get the idea that they only maybe worked out the song that day or the day before, which is probably why it's a bit... Well, not amateur, but it's like just basically playing the song and having a laugh, really, aren't they? And then when they sold the albums would go on sale for and people would buy them in the thousands. And I didn't get it because I think with Live Lounge, it's fun to hear them play that song once, but to me, they're never better than the original because you can tell that they only maybe practice it 2 or 3 times. So it's fine to listen to once, but it doesn't touch the amazing original with the Girls Aloud, who are now currently on tour.
Yes.
On the UK.
Are you going to go catch them?
Probably not. But I've seen the original 5.
Oh yes, of course you have. Yeah. See, I had such a good time at Sugar Babes that I would, if they would come. I sincerely doubt they're going to come to continental Europe, but I would see them. I'm not going to travel to see them, but I would see them if they were. But I want to go off on a tangent.
Tangent.
Right. So, I could have picked "Put Your Jukes Up, John" by the Little Flames. Which Arctic Monkeys also covered. I didn't because that one was an even more faithful cover than Love Machine. But that sent me down a rabbit hole again of the Little Flames because I really love that song. I remember like years after it came out, going on possibly Amazon, possibly eBay to buy the single. And then I went on this whole rabbit hole of like, so what happened to them? And I hadn't realised that their debut album, which was meant to be released in 2007, only came out in 2016. They actually managed to release it. And that Eva Peterson, who's the singer, and Miles Kane was in the band as well, she has a solo album. I was like, oh, does she? I knew that because I had gone and saved stuff from that album, again, back in like probably 2016, 2017. And I would really recommend a song of hers called Melody. Her voice is still great, and that song sounds like Ladytron, so how can you go wrong?
Ladytron, a future artist, maybe. So, Arctic Monkeys, are we saying they're overrated or underrated?
So I came into this thinking they were overrated. I leave this thinking that they're overrated. But I got what I hoped to get out of this exercise, which is to find songs of theirs from later years that I would like and to have the motivation to go and listen to those later albums. But they have 51.8 million monthly listeners. They are the 44th biggest band in the world on Spotify.
I would still say overrated because I probably like 2 or 3 songs per album. I can make a 20-song playlist, but maybe not. For me, they are not like better than any of their contemporaries. To be fair, I guess he's a great lyricist, and he spoke to his generation, and that's what people were jumping for. Like, he's one of us. We love him. We love Alex Turner.
Yeah,
but that's in the early days. I don't know what reason. I don't know what people are loving about them these days. Obviously, we liked maybe a couple of the new songs. I don't know, there's people out there who absolutely adore The Car, and I can't remember what the hotel one's called.
Tranquility Base Hotel.
Tranquility, yeah. Is that anyone saying it's the best album ever? I don't know. But...
And this maybe started with Lost Shadow Puppets. I really love, by the way, Age of the Understatement. Beautiful song. But I wonder if they have introduced that music to a younger audience. And that's what people like about it, where there's this kind of, it's a new band, but there's a retro nostalgia. So like, firstly, they were big because it was like, oh, voice of a generation, like, and like amazing lyrics speaking to us. And then it's like, actually, we're going to go a bit arty-farty and a bit into the past and see what we like. I don't know. Write in, if you're an Arctic Monkeys fan and disagree with us, tell us what you like.
Because I remember like seeing the interview that they had never heard of the Kinks or like all the bands people were comparing them to, they had never heard of at all.
Mad.
And so the only band we knew were the Strokes.
Yes, and the Hives.
Yes, I don't know if he went back and listened to like older music, and that's where he did the Last of the Shadow Puppets. I don't know, maybe if Miles Kane influenced him.
But like, what did his parents listen to?
Yeah, I think the Strokes are the reason they even bought a guitar in the first place. And I think in the new album or last album, they even have a song and it start off by singing about the Strokes, which is nice reference to the band that started it. For me, I would probably check them out if they're at a festival, but no more than that.
Yeah, same here. No way am I paying any amount of money to go and see them. If you want an antidote to this episode, if you want to listen to someone talk passionately about how much they love the Arctic Monkeys, you should go and listen to the Gig Pigs episode on Arctic Monkeys, where the co-host's fiance, Mari, is a mega fan who was so into the Arctic Monkeys that, let's just say, she went to extreme lengths to go and queue to get their new album, and I will leave it at that.
That's the end of part 1.
Hey, I'm Paula Wiseman, and I'm the host of the Divine Comedians podcast. If you're a fan of comedy like me, then I think you might like to check out my Divine Comedians podcast. In the past, we've had some amazing and hilarious guests, including Jack Doherty, Graham Fellows, Arthur Matthews, Charlie Higson, to name but a few, and loads of others. You can listen on Spotify, Acast, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Underrated.
Welcome back to part 2, Arctic Monkey fans. I do apologise that I didn't think they're the best band in the world, but hey, if you stick around, you could find out about a band I do like. So I will introduce you to the Cooper Temple Claws, a band from back in the early noughties. I believe they formed in the late 90s, let's say in Berkshire near Reading. They all were from different bands and they merged together to create this fantastic band called the Cooper Temple Claws. Every time somebody asks where they got the name from, they make up a new version, a bit like Shed 7, so no one really knows the answer. They have Tom Bellingham, Daniel Fisher, Ben Gautry, John Harper, Kieran Mayan, and Did Hammond. And it had 3 vocalists, but the main singer was Ben. And everyone would say he sounds like Liam Gallagher kind of thing, like gruff, raspy voice. They started out by, the first thing I heard was Let's Kill Music, which was a mix of like synths and guitars, and it sounded nothing like the bands like Turin Breaks and Travis, who were out at the same time, and everyone was at the Enemy, for example, and Melody Maker were like out. We're like, oh my god! At last, there's a cool band who aren't stroked in the UK with like wild hair and amazing attitude, and I think the Enemy called them the coolest people in the world. Obviously, the hype began, and then they slowly released their videos. And I would, as a young indie fan, I was getting very excited by the singles. And then the album came out. I was slightly disappointed by the album. I think now I listen back to it, I do like it a lot more. They were one of the best bands to see live, but unfortunately, I saw them live too late. I saw their last ever tour. I just find it interesting how they were like, for 2 albums, they were like a band who are constantly, for me, played on MTV2. They're featured in video game soundtracks. They were always like on tour at festivals. And then Did Hammond, the bassist, quit to join the Dirty Pretty Things, Cole Brat's band after the Libertines. Big mistake. And huge mistake. And then that kind of like, the band then got dropped. I don't know if that's why, but they had a top 5 album, so it's very strange. So then they brought out an album 4 years later on the Sanctuary Records, just like an independent record. I don't remember anyone discussing it. The videos I saw on YouTube, I think it had just started. I remember hearing one song on Colin Murray, maybe, who was a fan, and then like I saw them on tour playing to like 400 people. And then Daniel Fisher, the guitar player, left, and that's the end of the band. They just broke up the next week. And that was 16 years ago now, or something.
Oh my god, we're old.
And then similar bands started to come out, like Kasabian, who I believe once supported them, interesting. And other bands... I didn't
know that, and I had a question for you about that.
And other bands came along with this, like, synth-free, hardest guitar sound blended together. And I feel like the Cooper Temple Claws have been lost. And, like, I always say this, but when you go on YouTube, everyone always goes on about underrated. But that word is copy and pasted across every single music video for Cooper Temple Claws. So I thought, well, if I'm going to talk about another underrated band, I should probably mention the Cooper Temple Claws. I think, overall, I don't think they had an amazing album. I think they had a lot of great singles, but maybe that's why they didn't stay along, because they never really hit heights of what people want them to do, maybe. But I think as a band, I love a band who seem like a gang, And they seemed like a really cool gang, and and as a 21-year-old, I probably would have wanted to be in the Cupid Temple Claws. I could have played the tambourine or something, but so I thought I'd just discuss them again. And even looking at YouTube, like their videos have like 50,000 views, and they've been online for like 15 years. It's pathetic. Babs, what's your views on the Cupid Temple Claws?
I will say that it's listening to your summary. What's funny is that you know exactly what they looked like, because I actually don't think I did at all. I didn't have MTV2, so I think that's a big part of it. But yes, I own Kick Up the Fire and Let the Flames Break Loose, which I bought on the strength of one of the songs that we're discussing, Promises, Promises. And I feel like this was an album that I never listened to very much, because at the time, nothing lived up to me like Promises, Promises did. So I kind of tapped out. I didn't realise until preparing for this that this wasn't their debut album. That they had one before this that actually was quite critically acclaimed. Like, definitely Kick Up the Fire was bigger. Launched them a bit more. But the previous one was very good as well. Did not realise that Dids Hammond was in this band, who then went on to Dirty Pretty Things. I saw Dirty Pretty Things in around 2007, so I would have seen him live, not Cupid Temple Claws. And I have another. I think I might have shown this to you before, but I have a CD compilation from the mid-noughties that my friend Charlie made, called Take the Money and Run, which I thought had Blind Pilots on it, but no, it has Promises, Promises on it. So yes, for me, coming into this, I thought I only knew one or two songs, and that they had Promises, Promises, which was great. I thought that maybe I would have found some songs a bit annoying because the vocals are quite gruff. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to do too much research because I just actually kind of wanted to go and listen to the music. But I did watch the beginning of Zane Lowe interviewing them. Did you see that video?
Yeah, it's really awkward, isn't it? I thought.
Super awkward. Also, the song is playing really loudly in the background, which I found extremely distracting. I felt like I couldn't concentrate on what they were saying because the song in the background was on so loud. But I did enjoy this comment, which I had to pick because, you picked this as underrated, from @T-Sophie from 6 years ago. She says, Zayn is so dumb. He doesn't even understand them half the time. Love these guys. I'll go to my grave with Coopers as my favourite band. So I thought, Fran, you have someone out there who's maybe even more passionate than you. So that was me coming into this.
It was quite funny. So I saw two interviews. One with Zayn interviewing the Arctic Monkeys last year. And then I watched the one today with the Cupid Temple Claws. I didn't like Zayn at all back in those days. I always found him like he wanted to be more bigger than the bands, and he'd tell the bands what the album's about. It's like, you don't know that. I don't mind as much anymore, but in those days, I really didn't like Zayn Lee.
Yeah, me neither.
I think that the band, watching a couple of interviews, they were just taking the piss half the time. Oh, it's really hard to find many interviews. All the interviews you can find are all from 2001, and they last about 2 minutes. So I feel like I don't know the band really to be able to make an opinion if they're pricks or not. Who knows? But they did mention in one interview that if they could collaborate with a band, it would be the Pet Shop Boys or Duran Duran. So.
Oh,
thank you guys.
Okay, immediately. Which, with one of the songs, now that I know that, doesn't surprise me as much anymore.
And they described the sound as the triple sandwich deal. Sometimes you can buy like 3 sandwiches in one. You get like but one might be crap, but at least 2 you might like, which I thought was nice.
They sound like an absolute riot.
Do you know that John Harper, the drummer? That he drummed with your band, your friends.
I forgot to mention, CSS and IMX.
Oh no.
And he says that Deus are one of his biggest inspirations as well. Tick, tick, tick. Ding, ding, ding.
He's now one of his teachers at that music school, I think, in Brighton.
The BIM.
Yeah.
You know what that means? We need to reach out to him. And see if he can come on.
Get John Harper on. So, I thought best to start with Let's Call Music. It's the first song I ever heard by them. I think it was for many people. Yeah, it was always on MTV2. It had like these 6 guys, and you can never really work out who's who because it kept cutting from each member to each member, so it's really hard to work out who's a singer and who's doing what. So lots of guys in cool t-shirts, and big I guess poodle kind of hair, getting sweaty, jumping around, whilst it cuts to a family having their breakfast and the dad making CDs. Very odd video. It was a mixture of like, I guess, Warp Records electronics and more of like a 90s American alternative rock sound, I guess. I mean, they come across as being very British, but the guitars are kind of like heavy, like maybe Dinosaur Jr. sometimes, a little bit Weezer. Yeah, I mean, to me, it was like a big fuck you to like Coldplay and Travis. It's like, oh wow, we've got a band to love as much as I guess the American scene at that time was taken over the and I thought, yeah, at last the UK are going to get big. So yeah, what are your thoughts on Let's Kill Music?
Yep, so this is from the debut See Through This and Leave, which I was like, oh, okay, there was one before the other one.
Best album.
Well, I'll have to wait and see because I haven't gone beyond the playlist very much. I did for one or two things, but I'll tell you my notes, which are space synths. Then I put clicked with me immediately, even when the vocals come in, because I told you about my fear of it being maybe a bit jarring. But I think your description of the mesh is better. I've just put this is trippy indie psychedelia because it's like you say, it's both. You have the. For me, it maybe a little bit Chemical Brothers as well is what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have the woozy guitars, but with the synths coming in as well. I didn't know this song. I really liked it. Nice job. Well done.
It's nice having all three singers at the end as well. You've got Tom, Dan, and Ben all singing at the same time.
See, I can't even tell. Like, if there's more than two, I can't tell. Because I'm thinking, are they layering or not? But I thought, this is a really nice intro or outro to the playlist because I had a feeling like, okay, not all songs are going to sound like this, and I was correct.
And then I moved across to the big hits, Promises, and I agree with you. So this was the main single from the second album, and I thought, oh, they've gone heavier. And then when you hear Take Off, it's like, oh no, like there's only maybe one or two like heavy songs in the whole album. So I was a bit shocked. Well, not shocked, but I was like, oh, okay. I was a bit disappointed, and it took me a while to sort of like get into the album. And I probably maybe like 6 songs now, but I think the first album I like maybe 7 or 8, but I was a bit disappointed by this album. It's got like 2 or 3 great songs in it, and I'll mention one later on. But back to Promises. But it's this Charles riff. It's slightly electronic. It's like full throttle Timber Claws. You've got the Liam Gallagher fronting Primal Scream Exterminator era. I put then when I looked on YouTube today and someone described it as Liam Gallagher fronting Queen of the Stone Age. I get it.
But I'm more Primal Scream than Queens of the Stone Age, I think.
But that hook right. And like I saw them do it live, and unfortunately by 2007 I think people weren't as into them as they were, so there wasn't a mosh pit, alas. But I assume that you like the song. This song is fantastic. I think this is a highlight from the mid-noughties, a highlight from the British indie scene, and the reason I bought the album, and like you, took my time to get into it, and I don't think I ever really did, to be honest. And I think in part is because, from memory, I'm just checking now, the next song on the album is New Toys, which is, it's okay, but it's such a different vibe from this song, where I'm like, but you've got me amped up, and actually no, I don't want to go quiet now, because I love that guitar sound that you mentioned. There's also that kind of, I've written the scrappy guitar in the background, which sounds like scraping nails, the that isn't the there's another one. I mean, they are definitely a band that like every song has a different synth sound. And one thing that I hadn't even thought about was the vocal line in the verse. It almost sounds Arabic. And man, when the guitar, when it, some of the instruments go and then the guitars come back at the end, wonderful. And I thought, finally, I'm going to look up the lyrics, because it's one of those songs where I don't know.
I didn't know what he was saying, and it's with your snake skin, dead bodies, evening all. I think I thought with your snake skin, getting on, even on, or something like that is what I thought he was saying. But this is a fantastic song, and it actually surprised me that it wasn't their most known song. We're going to come to that later.
There's a really strange YouTube clip of them at like a festival near the end of their career in Germany, and they're playing like in the middle of the afternoon, and it's raining, and it keeps cutting to them like really going for it. This is on there, and it cuts to like those like German people standing in the rain, just like sort of having a chat. It's so sad. Like, how can this be the only thing on YouTube? Like, you're not to show them like in 2002 with like a mosh pit, but check it out if you want to see some depressing. I mean, they're great, but if someone cuts to the crowd, it's like, oh, guys, now I know why you broke up.
That's sad.
Moving on to 2007 and their final album. So the Dids had left, and they said that when their producer came along, he said that you've got 3 singers here, but you only ever have Ben on the album. I think Tom and Dan sang on B-sides and in backup vocals. So he said, you should try singing, I didn't include any of their song.
Okay.
Because it's a really strange album. It literally does feel like 3 different bands. So, like, Tom's stuff sounds like Sub Killers, but more cheesy Killers, which is weird. Dan's stuff is a bit more like the Manchester Preachers. And then Ben's stuff is like the heavy stuff. So it's like 3 different bands. So it was,
okay.
it was, yeah, again, it's slightly disappointing. There's maybe 4 or 5 decent tracks, but yeah, it doesn't work as an album. And it's sad that it's the final thing they ever did. But yes, I've given you head.
And thank you very much. It's been a while, Fran. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So yeah, it's slightly changed the direction. More electronic, I guess, than like Promise and Promises. It's to me, it's hypnotic. I love the whirlwinds of synths and fizzes, and the more they sing the chorus again and again and again and again, it gets in your head, shock. But yeah, this was, I think it was a single, but yeah, I don't remember hearing it at all back in the day.
Can I ask you, because what I didn't understand with the timeline is, okay, so the first 2 albums came out on RCA, and then there was a 4-year gap. But was it that they were on RCA, and then, you know, the record label didn't like what they were trying to do with the 3rd album, so they left, or were they kicked? Or like, what was? Do you know what the story was?
Yeah, as I said, it's weird why they'd be dropped, because the second album was a top 5 album. It's a bigger hit. So why would so unless they thought that Dids was like, you know, the main guy, even though he's just the bass player. So Dids played on 2 songs in this back in 2005 before we left. So yeah, I don't know if it was like they wanted to make a change of direction and the record label said no, or what. It's very strange, because usually you sign a 3-album deal, not 2 albums. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, all I can say is that Sanctuary did not promote the album at all.
Definitely not. Like, the only thing I would wonder is, like, as a PR person, would you be scared that when you were trying to promote that album, all that the interviewers would focus on was the fact that, like, Dids had joined a band that was pretty big?
Yeah, but I can't remember. Like, did that by 2007? I think. Well, how successful was that first Dirty Pretty Things?
Oh, really?
I remember like one song.
I loved it.
Really.
No. It was pretty big. Like I was into that album. I was into them. But yeah. But anyway. But we're not here to talk about Dirty Pretty Things. That's for another discussion. Well, thank you for giving me head, Fran. Because I loved this. My notes are, whoa, that's a dirty synth, and I was not expecting it. And I've written that this is a mix of 80s electronica, industrial rock, and mid-noughties indie, nicely blended. And that I read that it was produced by Dave McCracken, who we've mentioned before, because he produced both Deus, here we go again, and Depeche Mode, Playing the Angel.
That would have come out around the same sort of time. Interesting.
Yeah.
That
this is great.
Why was less guitars, maybe?
Yes, yeah, maybe. But yeah, like, as I'm going through this, I'm like, yeah, this is new to me. I'm really enjoying it. I didn't expect them to have this sound in them. And yeah, you know, sometimes when it's a bunch of different genres, it doesn't work. But here, like I said, nicely blended.
Someone did ask the question, like, when does left did they think about replacing him? And they said no, because they've all grown up together. They can all play instruments, they can all play guitars, and so they just swapped the bass for each song. So that's why they just kept it as a 5-piece. And then, like, Ben, the singer, would just play the guitar while singing. It was like easy. And they said that's actually better, since there's less mistakes can happen when you've got 5 members.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and like the stage a bit less crowded, maybe.
Yeah, and probably save a bit more money. And moving on to another banger from the first album with It's a Panzer Attack. So this is a call for arms to the mosh pit. I remember after seeing Girls Aloud in 2006 at V Festival,
Who would have thought we would have mentioned them twice in this episode?
I could hear a tent, and I thought, that sounds like the Keep Temper Clause. And like, I guess I didn't have social media back in those days, so I may have not known what bands are out. But yeah, the Keep Temper Clause were playing a gig in a small tent. I was like, I guess it was like a tester in about 2006. And I heard the start of Panzer Attack, and I remember running in, and I got to the mosh pit just as the bass riff came in, happy moment for me. But I had missed Promises, sadly. And the bass line for me is perfect. I love the urgent vocals. It's a punch to the face of a band sort of that era. The synth siren injects this boost of at near the end, and yeah, it's a great track. 2007 they would do a new version when they would have Tom singing a quiet verse with just keyboards, and then halfway through the song they bring the bass line, and then it would just go crazy.
Can you access that version online?
Yeah, in that shit gig in Germany, they play it. And you get to see the German reactions of them going, "Oh, right, what's your thoughts on Panzer Attack?"
So yeah, well, this is a song where I was like, do you think Kasabian were inspired by them? So yes, I didn't know that they played with them. This is, every song has like a different synth sound or different synth sounds. And what I like about that is that in this song, it's paired with a very post-punk bass line. It reminds me of a band, I can't remember if I mentioned them before, but have you heard of the Italian indie band New Candies?
No, I have not.
I think you would like them. It's a bit less electronic than this, but similar sound. I'm seeing now that, you know, with the song, one of their motifs is the vocal repetitions, which I think work actually, and definitely get stuck in your head. But again, I can see what, if, you know, some people would find it a bit annoying. It's just a Panzer Attack.
Yeah. I
love the breakdown and the screeching distorted guitar ending. And I think this song sounds like it could have been written this decade. Like if you play this to me now and said, oh, yeah, well, yeah, there's a random Italian indie band from Venice. That's where New Candies are from. I'd believe you. I'd absolutely believe you.
Yeah, 23 years old, the song. Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, but loved it.
Over underrated.
Moving back to the album you own. So this is the same mistake. And yeah, this was one of the songs that took a while for me to get into, and I'm happy I did because it's a slow burn. I think at 3 minutes and 16, it suddenly takes a step into a new direction. But yeah, I think it's a very good a live track. It starts off with like just slightly like twinkling keys, and then yeah, it's like maybe Ben describing everything that's ever gone wrong and getting more crazy as the song goes, and then talking about, you know, mistakes he's made in his life, and, you know, I think it mentions dying kids, all sorts of stuff happening. But yeah, it's one of the best tracks to see live. I don't think it was a single, but yeah, do you remember this one from the album?
So thank you for making me revisit this song, Fran. I do remember this song from the album, but I hadn't listened to it in years. In my mind, it put me off because the only line I could hear was the "No, you can't keep making the same mistakes," and actually he doesn't say it that often in the song. And I'd forgotten again the contrast between the beginning and the end, and the slow burn, as you say, the slow build. I really enjoyed listening to this again. I think because it's the album opener, and then it goes into Promises again. I think I was just maybe a bit too impatient, be like, yeah, all right, very beautiful in it. But yeah, I really enjoyed revisiting this one, so thank you.
Yeah, and like, again, you know, they had more than one trick, the band, didn't they?
Definitely. Like, and more than one pedal.
Yeah, no, oh well. Moving on to the last album, we have Damage, which I think is the best single they ever released. It took my time to get into it. It's nice to hear Tom singing as well.
So you can tell the difference. I cannot tell the difference.
Yeah. Tom was my favourite, and I remember he winked at me when the last time I saw him. I thought, oh, thank you, Tom.
Lucky you.
Yeah, it's just a brilliant, catchy track. It's like, for me, it would be an indie dance floor banger. I keep saying banger. I need to update my indie dance floor.
Too much.
What's my problem with banger, guys? Tune. Oh dear.
Tune.
Sarah Cox style. It's kind of weird. It keeps stopping and starting, but when it goes, it really goes hard. If that helps in a way.
So I went through quite a journey with this song because it started and I was like, oh, okay, this is more straightforward rock. I think one's going to take me a while to kind of warm to. And then as soon as the dun, 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 I was like, oh, this song. I absolutely know this song. And I was like, I've been spending the whole day trying to figure out where on earth I know this song from, because I was like, was this on a TV show? Is it like the background music to a YouTube video or something? It might have been, you know, like that. It was around this time that I was going to the indie disco, so it could just have been that one of the indie discos I was going to in Coventry. But like, or, you know, yeah, that was my thinking. Or maybe, you know, it was on my iPod because I downloaded it. But, you know, because I haven't listened to my iPod in about 10 years. And yeah, I went to check the kind of compilations that I had and stuff to see if someone had put it on there. But yeah, I was like, this song, yes, very catchy, post-punk inspired, spiky guitars, a la Block Party. But yeah, I think because it starts in that more kind of guitar-y way, you don't expect it to go loud, quiet, and have the nice harmonies. So yeah, loved it.
But yeah, there's no music video, so I don't think it was a single, which is, I think, a big mistake. But, you know, they do keep making the same mistakes.
I was about to make that joke, so thank you for making it for me.
So, to my favourite song by the band, which is Filmmaker, and I bought it on a CD single, guys. And I think the music video was on the CD-ROM. Remember those days?
I do.
Or
Yeah.
YouTube when you had to watch it on your PC. So this was a double A side with Been Training Dogs, and the music video goes straight from one to the other if you want to and have a long version. So yeah, the music video, it's the band are in a cage in the middle of being attacked by those people whilst the family are driving to the gig. But to the music, again, it's just so not the wimpy indie that that was happening at the time. It felt dangerous. It felt alive, and a little bit like Idol at that time felt the same sort of thing before they changed direction. It was just a dirty fuck you lyrics. Obviously I'm a big film fan. It just felt like I wanted to drive angry to this, but I'd be probably playing GTA. And yeah, I want to make a Killing Movie 2. And someone put in YouTube comments, "Hey, Kasabian, hello." So again, people pointing out Kasabian ripping off the Cupid's Ever Claws.
Yeah, that's their secret. For this one, I've written another different guitar and different drum sound from all the previous ones before. I really like the more rock, spelt R-A-W-K, guitar solo in the middle.
Yep.
When the vocals come in on this song, for me, it is a little bit whiny. It almost sounds off, but the instruments sound fantastic. So, this is an excellent, I didn't want to say this, but Fran, this is one of the best playlists you've ever made. Like, I wouldn't say I don't like the song, but I would say it's my least favourite so far.
Really?
Yeah.
You can see them on Top of the Pops playing this, by the way.
Oh, so they got into Top of the Pop.
Right then. So 2, I think, is maybe the song people know the most, apart from Promise of Promises, which is Blind Pilots, the other single from the second album. This, obviously, famously now has Michael Fassbender in the music video, turning into a goat.
Did not know that. Like, I vaguely remember the video for Promises, which is just them playing guitar, right? Like, it's just them in a room playing guitar.
No, it's got a guy on a car, like breaking down and like running around a bit.
Okay, I unfortunately ran out of time, and also when I saw the quality, as in the visual quality, I was like, oh god, no, I think I need some time and patience for this. But because I like this playlist so much, for sure I'm going to go and watch them. So tell me about Fassbender and the Goat.
So it starts with Michael Fassbender going on a stag do in Camden, and then for some reason he goes to the toilet and finds he's grown a hoof, and then he starts growing horns, and then he ends up going to a strip club and he turns into full half man, half goat, like Mr. Timidus from Narnia. And then at the end, he turns into a full goat and runs off. And someone says this is a Russian fairy tale of that if you go and get drunk, you could turn into a goat. Fair enough.
Do you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the Kafka book, where the guy wakes up as an insect.
I mean, it has no link to the song at all. To be fair. Like the song I see is someone going through a bad relationship. I guess a blind pilot. He can't pilot his love life. But yeah, I think this is one of the songs when I do prefer the verse to the chorus. I hope you, because it's a bit more subtle, and that verse sticks in your head, and then the chorus is a bit more, I guess, keep saying the Liam Gallagher snarl, and then it's sort of like the second half goes into like a Granddaddy inspired keyboard section.
Granddaddy once again. Yeah.
And then I do quite like how it has that sort of sad choir after the chorus. No one came. No one, that bit, but yeah, it's a great track, and sad that I've not heard it probably in 20 years.
So how I said that Filmmaker was my least favorite song so far.
It's
not. It's this one. And have you seen how many streams this has had?
So this is probably people. When I said "Medicine and Cupid's Ever Claws," this is probably the song that people who didn't really know them would know,
and that's devastating because giving my review now, this song I obviously knew because it was on the album that I have, and I was like, for me, this is landfill indie, right? Like, this is like the stereotype landfill indie. It doesn't represent the band properly at all. Like, now, especially now that I know so much more about them, I'm like, my gosh, how is this their biggest song? I find the chorus so whiny. I will say, as a bonus, I still think it has some interesting touches. I do like his low vocals and, like you said, the Granddaddy keyboard, the low warbling synth sound. But with same mistakes, that was a real revisit and reappraisal. With this, I listened to it once and that was all I needed. So but I can't believe how many streams it has.
Yeah, it's like 4 times more popular than anything else.
Yeah.
2.1 million. Wow. But yeah, but at the time, that music video was always on, so yeah, I can see why it's popular.
Yeah, I mean, and like it's more ballady rock, which I guess would have been more in tune with the times, right? Like you said, what did you call it? Not the whiny rock, but the
Wimp rock.
the wimp rock. There we go, wimp rock.
Surprised there, because I've not met anyone who doesn't like Blind Parts, but it's fine. If you hated the whole lot,
Hello.
it's fine. But yeah, I guess it's slightly different to the other singles. So moving back to, this was Homo Sapiens, the first song I heard from the new album with Colin Murray, and again it took me a while to adjust to it because it's kind of a bit full on. But yeah, but now I love it. It's got a bashing chorus. Again, it's a bit Queen of Stone Age with hand claps and frills, and yeah, it's kind of nice, ironic about masculinity. I just love being a man, kind of jokingly. But yeah, it's not a crap video. It's not crap. You can tell that the money has gone instantly. But yeah, what's your thoughts on Homo Sapien?
So apparently, I saved this to Spotify in August 2016, but have no recollection. So that was clearly...
That's weird.
That's the last time I'd gone on I should listen to more Cooper Temple Claws outside. And yeah, I'm really sad that it's taken until 2024 for me to listen to this again, because this, rocks RAWKS, even when it goes into the poppier parts, because that's it. That's the nice thing about it. Again, it has all these different genres in one, but it works. I even love how in the harder parts, it actually sounds like he's basically rapping. You mentioned that with Alex Turner, but he's speaking so fast and it's kind of monotone. And bits of the guitar in the song, you say Queens of the Stone Age, but the more kind of riffy melodic bits actually reminds me of 80s Matchbox. And I didn't quite make that connection. There's another song on here where I felt that, but I didn't realize that that's what I felt. So it's a lot of ingredients for a good rock pie. Love this.
There's some songs that happen you'll fucking hate, but I know, moving on. So finally, there's two long drawn out tracks on the Debra album. There's For Lake and Amber, and I could have tossed a coin, but I went for Amber. Because it shows off the band, another string to the band's bow, with a dark melodic choruses, but it feels dirty and it grows and it grows and it grows. So there's another great live track, and yeah, I just thought I didn't want to show the other side again on the day Brabham. There's probably 5 singles, and if you're a Cooper Temple Claws fan, you may be angry if I've left off Who Needs Enemies When You've Got Friends, because that was one of the bigger singles, but I've never been a fan of it. And I left off Being Trading Dogs, which is not another big single. But I think this is far more interesting than those 2 tracks, because I love how it grows, and I'm a big fan of a grower, not a shower. What are your thoughts, Bab?
So I had a feeling, because now that I've got a handle on their sound, I was like, I reckon Fran is going to finish with a bit of a calmer song. So I was prepared for that. And yeah, it's so unusual. The synth sounds, I've called them bird call. But the rocky guitars, are still there. And when you go and look at the lyrics, seems to be about alcoholism. They're quite moving. And when you're in the chorus and he's saying, turn and face the wall, I'm only drinking, ice to the floor, I'm really sinking. And it goes so woozy. The lyrics match the music so beautifully. On the first listen, the key change that happens, I was like, what the fuck? This isn't Eurovision. But I was on board by the end, and I really like this song, and this was my 3rd least favourite. So, Fran, Congratulations. What a success you've made of showcasing Cooper Temple Claws to the world. Guys, I really recommend going to listen to this playlist, because if you like the kinds of bands that we talk about, the indie, the 80s electronica, industrial rock, stoner rock, etc., I think they are a perfect blend of all of that and more. So thank you, Fran, for reintroducing me to Cooper Temple Claws.
It's what I found it so fascinating, because bands like Kasabian at that time were getting so big. I was thinking, what did the Cooper Temple Claws do wrong? what the fuck happened?
Well, I mean, I guess Serge was the arty one, and Tom Meehan was the laddie one, right? Maybe with Cooper Temple Claws, they were a bit artier when you look at the hair and all that. And maybe Kasabian, their first album was 2005, right? So it's just a bit later after the wimpy rock era. So maybe it is timing. But yeah,
I guess, to be fair, both albums were before. I guess we called it the indie invasion. Was around 2005, wasn't it? With Arctic Monkeys, Franz Ferdinand. So yeah, I guess they were just maybe 2 years before they needed to be. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Have you seen how many monthly listeners they have?
Well, I mean,
17,000.
looking at the YouTube clips, it's like we're talking 50,000 for like 16,000. That's fucking embarrassing.
Just under 17,000 monthly listeners. So of course I'm going to say they're underrated. Not enough listens. No idea they blended so many genres. Their harmonies work so well. Unsurprising given all the singers that they have. Great blend of rock and electro. I forgot to mention, I mean, they do remind me a bit of 6x7 in how they blend that as well. I saved almost all of the new songs that you provided to me, and the playlist has what I'm sure was your intended effect, which is for me to go and listen to all the albums. Although, now I'm forewarned that you don't think they're necessarily a perfect album span, but gosh, there's so much more to check out there.
Yeah, definitely start with the debut, because there's 2 or 3 tracks you definitely like by the sounds of it. I would go on to say that Dids, after leaving Dirty Pretty Things, or the band breaking up, he now manages Suede.
Does he?
And he played bass with Brett Branson in his solo. Ben, the main singer, and Kieran, the keyboardist, are in a band called Type to Error, and they've got some stuff that came out last year. Dan Fisher went on to do a band called Red Kite. They've got 2 good albums. Mm-hmm. Dan Ball, former guest. Dan Fisher was his manager at the Apple Store in London.
Wow, there we go. Podcast connections. There we go. Could we maybe get a member of the CTC on our podcast?
And Tom, the other singer, keyboardist, guitar player, he's now in a band with Eddie Temple Morris called 00's. So they're also doing something, but nothing big enough, sadly. But yeah, I'm very, very happy that I got to play this soundtrack, and hopefully we can add 4 or 5 people to the monthly listens.
I think definitely, like, if you like Kasabian, Primal Scream, 6x7 of the bands that you cover, I think it'll be impossible not to like this, or even something a bit hard, because they are a little bit harder than that as well, but they are also a bit softer. So however you like your bread buttered.
And yeah, check out the final festival date on YouTube to see the sadness. So yeah, I would say definitely underrated. Any final thoughts, Babs?
Any final thoughts? Well, one thing that I didn't mention when we were discussing Love Machine by the Arctic Monkeys was that apparently they didn't record that, so there isn't like a video version of that song, which is surprising given how obviously they would do that now. And we talked about how there's so few interviews of Cooper Temple Claus of that, and I've been thinking about how like there's been articles I've contributed to places where God knows where the Word document is that I initially submitted. So I guess, in the increasingly digital world, people hang on to your things, save your things. I was listening to 2 albums last week, actually. Maybe I can shout them out, that I really enjoyed that I haven't listened to in ages because they're not on streaming services. There's an album called Haiku by a French band called Dionysus. It is a perfect album. I forgot about it when I was doing my Naughties compilation. I'm like, that would absolutely now be one of mine, just because it's not on streaming services. And it gave me such a particular delight of like, oh my God, like I know this album so well, but I'm only listening to it in an analog way. And the other one was an album by a Portuguese rap group that doesn't exist anymore called Amor, AMOR, like which means love, where they've seemingly taken all the songs off the internet. So I'm like, yes, people buy CDs, save those MP3s and onto the hard drive and onto the cloud. That's my message for this episode. What about you?
If I ever discover that a band has randomly put their stuff on Spotify, I always try and spread the word, like Stellar Star, for example. Out of nowhere, the 3rd album appeared. I was like, oh my god, quickly. Everyone listen to it. I totally agree. I always get mocked, but I have a CD collection and a DVD collection. But yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that the Cooper Temple Claus have all 3 albums. They're the sort of band I can imagine that their 3rd album would have vanished because it's on a different label. But I think I can name maybe 12 bands I adore that have missing albums online. And it's so sad. Keep a music collection. People have a library for books they haven't read for 15 years. So why not keep your CDs and DVDs as well? And
actually, I've just realised how this links back to the film I mentioned at the beginning, The Worst Person in the World, because one of the characters has this very, like, I find moving, nostalgic speech, because he's like the older character in the film, about how, he's Generation X and that it was the time of physical things. I won't read it out, but yeah, I would recommend go and watch The Worst Person in the World for the good soundtrack and for that speech on owning things versus the digital age. I think we can all feel that. Like, I've been reading about how like teenagers are really getting into books in a way that they weren't before, because they really enjoy the fact that it's not online. So, you know, I think there's I'm all for the positives of social media as ever. Of course there's negatives, but there are positives. But yeah, I think I am quite glad that I was born when I was born and not 5, and especially not 10 years later, when just your life is so much more online.
I agree.
Having said that, I wish I understood Discord a bit better.
Early days, guys. Early days. I will say thank you for listening, and see you later, Innovator.
See you later, Alligator Innovator.
And that is all, folks. Thank you for listening to another episode. Let us know if you prefer the Item Monkeys, or if you prefer the Cupid Claws, or are there any other noughties indie bands you'd love us to chat about in the future? We are on social media if you want to chat about various subjects. We are on OU Music Pod on Twitter, OU Music Pod on Blue Sky, Overrated Music Pod on Instagram, and you can even email us at overunderatedmusicpod@gmail.com. Until next time, guys. Bye bye.